Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club, Kenworth Trucks Australia, Pace Farm Eggs, and Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts. G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome to the show. Today I would like to share with you one of my recent acquisitions. Come with me. My latest acquisition, well, this car here, a 1962 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. Technically, this is the latest one to the fleet, and I purchased this out of Detroit in October of 2023. It's a brilliant car, but there's going to be more about this car a little down the track on Classic Restos. Today, it's about a car that I've had a little over 12 months. Welcome to the 1979 Lincoln Continental Town Car. Yeah, it's always exciting to see the tilt bed truck turn up with your car on the back. Like I've said before, I don't think you totally relax until you see them arrive in your driveway, even though this one came from just 8 hours drive away. But just seeing this Lincoln again on arrival, as close to new as you'll get, I believe, coming down off the truck, it is an exciting time. And looking around the boot area, the trunk of the car, it came with so many new old stock parts included in the sale, which was absolutely fantastic. The last owner stockpiled parts in case he needed them. Having said that, this car needs no spend. It's spotless underneath. Suspension parts have been done over the years, the brakes, everything. It's turnkey, drive and enjoy. I have two big name cars here in my humble collection, Cadillac and the Imperial. I had to get a Lincoln to complete the big three. Years ago I owned a one previous owner before me, 1977 LTD Silver Monarch, an Australian LTD. 78,000 kilometres on the clock, it was like new. It was used for my sister's wedding. And that little flower girl standing in front, that picture there up on screen now, that's my eldest daughter Rhiannon, and she's now in her mid-30s. These Australian LTDs, they were based on US Lincoln design platforms. That's what I really loved about this particular Australian LTD. I began self-employment in 1994. I had a little debt on the car, so thinking that I was doing the right thing at the time, I sold it. But, well, how often have you heard this? I've missed it ever since. They're also incredibly hard to find now in the condition that I once had, and too many have been messed with. However, American Lincolns, the real McCoys, are a tad easier to find. Main reason because they made more of them. Just over 92,000 to be near precise, 76,500 four doors and around 16,000 two doors. So why a 1979 year, you may be thinking? Well, it's America's last full-sized super luxury car. It's a huge car. I was hooked when I saw the same model that I have here at the Gilmore Museum in Michigan over 10 years ago. This is one of my favourite museums. I've been there many times and you actually get to see it on a Fletch Detroit tour. At the Gilmore, there are replica dealerships around their property, and one is Lincoln. And inside there on display is a pristine 1979 Lincoln Continental Town Car. How you doing, Fred?
I'm doing great, Fletch. Thanks for including us in this video.
It's absolutely my pleasure. This place is stunning. It's also enormous. It's an incredible place, the Gilmore, Fred.
Well, thank you very much. We love it here too. We think it's a national jewel, and we're honored that you could be here with us and show us off to the world, as it were.
Well, Fred, I thought we'd pick on this last car here, a 79. Now, the reason I've chosen the 79, just through my eyes, is that it was the last of the big monster. I mean, the gas crisis in 77, by the time 79 came around, Cadillac and Chrysler Imperial were offering downsized models, it was Lincoln that still were game enough in '79 to keep that full-size traditional styling.
Absolutely. They were the last ones to hold out for the large size car. And this thing's huge. You know, we were just looking at this thing. How long is this car?
Well, it'd have to be,
got to be 20 some feet long.
Now, you might be looking and thinking, wow, how gaudy are these things? Well, they were never designed to take you around corners at high speed. These cars were designed to keep you 9-10 hours driving straight roads and to keep you comfortable.
Yes, very luxurious, beautiful interior, soft, and a lot of extra little lighting and fancy big sunroof.
Now, just quickly, a few features. We've got the 400 cube V8 up front. Now, even for '79, that's a fair chunk of a V8. The classy little porthole, or the opera window, the oval window, that always got me in those turrets. I think that's a whole level of class right there. And you can see little signs of them trying to tame things down by taking the 120 mile an hour speedo away and giving it a pathetic 85 mile an hour speedo, which to me, in a full-size American car, it has to read at least 120.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no doubt it represents America's last attempt of building the full-size car. I turn a blind eye to the 85 mile an hour speedo because this car is just so far ahead in so many other ways. There's not a rattle, not a squeak. This is a car for relaxed driving, not a neck-snapping quarter-mile time speed. It's 1979, comes with the 400 Cleveland V8, which is only around 28 horsepower less than the previous year with the 460. The 400 here does an amazing job for what it is, cubic capacity versus size of the vehicle. It's smooth, it's quiet, it's quite torquey, making it a pleasure to drive. And around the engine bay, everything sits as stock, even down to each last vacuum hose. This just has not been messed with. Designed by a very bold team at Lincoln in '79, there were amazing sales of these happening early in the year, but before the political gas crisis came in. Then in the later part of '79, sales stopped. Apparently all you could hear were crickets in the dealerships with Lincoln, but that went for all the large cars back then as well, because our oil, it was about to dry up, right, and run out.
When I was a kid, I loved cars, still do. The '57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network.
Your story began in 1971. It's part of an endless tapestry that tells the story of our nation. It connects innovators to artisans, forests to houses, from the largest of operations to the smallest of outcomes. It's heritage. It's a legacy.
Along the way, there was some other Lincoln inspiration, which has made me always appreciate the cars. Their bold styling, the way they drive, the way they're appointed, the quality of the build. And along the way, one inspiration came from a dear friend, now passed. He's no stranger to Classic Restos. He's been on the show before, and that's the late Wes Myrick from Michigan and his 1970 two-door Lincoln. Wes is known and loved by many around here. He ran a service station in town for over 40 years, and he retired in 1988. The secrets to his longevity are eating meat, no vegetables, enjoying hamburgers and drinking whiskey. Wes is that lovable, take it easy, country kind of guy, and I have the utmost respect and pleasure in devoting an episode of Classic Restos especially to him. Here he is, the man himself. How you doing, Wes?
I'm doing good, Fletch.
You haven't changed in the last few years. You haven't changed one bit.
Is that good?
Of course it is.
Okay.
Yeah. He's as sharp as a tack.
Thank you.
Wes, thanks for having us here today.
Well, it's a pleasure. I like your smiling face and the way you comb your hair. That makes a difference.
He's full of compliments, you know, and I tend to lap it up because you don't get those sort of compliments everywhere you do the TV show, Wes.
Well, I believe that. Yeah.
You've got this 1970 Lincoln, a Mark III. It's an unrestored car. It's as is from 1970. How long have you had it? What's the story?
Well, I went to a swap meet in the middle of the winter down in Kalamazoo. And I already had two of these. I had a white one and a blue one, but I didn't like the white and I didn't like the blue. And then this black one, it was about 20 below zero. And I saw it on a trailer and there was a bunch of people standing around it. And I grabbed the guy that owned it and I said, what do you want for that car? And he told me, and I said, well, I'll make an offer. I don't remember what it was now. So within 2 minutes, I'd say, I bought the car. I gave him a deposit left. Yeah. And so that's how long it took me to buy it. Yeah. And then the next day was the same kind of weather, 20 below zero or something.
You like those days, don't you, Wes?
Yeah, I like them all right. But anyway, it was funny because I called him up and he said he'd meet me at a shopping center on the north side of Kalamazoo. And so we got there and I got out of the car and I handed him the money and he handed me the title and he started to take the license plate off the back. I said, well, I needed to get home. And so he took the license plate off. And that whole episode probably took less than 10 minutes, about 5 minutes probably. So that's the amount of time it took me to buy this car.
Wow. I mean,
that's a true story.
When you get them like this is the way to get them because nothing's been tarted up. I mean, sure, there's some splits in the paint now. There's some crays. The interior needs a clean up. But this is what it's all about, finding a car like this, totally original. The interior of this car is amazing. There's a bit of mould here and there, and that's what happens over here with the high humidity over here in the east. That comes off okay, but there's no splits anywhere or cracks in the leather. The back is perfection. You look around the back seat, it really does have a fantastic interior, this car.
Yeah, and that surprises me because you usually don't see that. If it was in the north here, sometimes in the wintertime, we just set on the leather and it'll crack or something like that. So, yeah. And not only that, a lot of times in the south, too, the interiors are all faded and burned up from the sun. Yep. Yeah, so I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's obviously had a life prior to yourself. I mean, you've had it in a garage, too. But I think that the Lincoln interiors, I mean, they're all right across the big three. They're all beautiful at this sort of level of car. But I believe that the Lincoln interiors, they're really something, aren't they?
This is a quality automobile. I mean, and you ever driven one of them?
Yeah, a few.
Oh well, then you know. It's a luxury liner.
My word.
It was love at first sight.
It doesn't get much more heart-stirring than that, does it?
Right. That's right, yeah.
So one day, a great friend of ours called in here at home. We're actually related. Apparently going back 800 years. Our smelly grandfathers shared a castle in the UK or something. Or I might have that wrong. Maybe there was just one smelly grandfather. Anyway, David says, I know where there's a Lincoln for sale, Fletch. It's expensive, but apparently it's up there with the best you'll find. I got the guy's number. He was in Victoria, so went down there and checked it out. Over the phone, the guy says, "Fletch, I challenge you to find a blemish in the paint." Now, I'm not a panel beater spray painter, but that is a big call. And I think I'm around the third owner. It's an ex-Laguna Hills, California car, imported to Australia in 2009. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it is like new. You can still see plastic hanging down underneath the seats in the front. In fact, one of my mates saw the car recently and he said, "Don't drive it." It's an incredible example of a Continental Town Car, and the ride is absolutely divine. Jubilee Gold in colour, Landau top, 127-inch wheelbase. The car is 233 inches long. It has character. It's certainly a flair for the fabulous.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life. My Coupe 4 is rare and very special. A real performance car with all-wheel drive grip. I'm not a car club bloke and I don't work on it myself, but I do have a great mechanic. One day, I might even get that HQ. When it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons.
Shannons shares your passion. Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. And of course, if you own a classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Here we have the epitome of sophistication by Lincoln, with integrated external coach lamps, opera windows, 6-way power seats on both sides, tilt steering column, 8-track tape player. This car has a factory Ford introduction tape still in its plastic, never opened. AM/FM radio with quadraphonic sound. Valley AO velour seat upholstery. Fold down centre armrest front and rear. Leather strap door pull handles. Power vent windows. Cruise control. Automatic headlights. An icy cold factory air conditioning system. Solid forged 15-inch alloy wheels, while the view over the expansive hood with the Lincoln Star hood ornament confidently leading the way is one of the best possible windshield vistas. The new old stock parts I was telling you about that turned up in the trunk of the car, I had to get an additional cabinet back here to put them in. That is full of what was in the trunk of the Lincoln when it turned up. Priceless stuff. Look at this original schematic diagram books from Ford. Priceless information. Now, where do you get this stuff? Electrical and vacuum troubleshooting manual. Every single thing you ever need to know about your dashboard. What's happening with your vacuum systems. Stuff like this. An original sales brochure from Lincoln representing incredible detail. Back when brochures helped to sell cars, not like today, getting online and having half a look. That's crap by comparison, in my opinion. You need to get yourself a cup of coffee and sit down with something to read like this. Interesting telltale. Offside rear passenger door. Just a bit of scuffing on the stainless steel trim that runs along the top of the sill. It's the only bit of scuff in the entire car which could possibly suggest that someone was in and out of that rear door. This car may have had a driver pick the person up, take them to their corporate position each day. The way this car is presented, the level of refinement, the velour, really is a limousine car. And the stopping power of the car is phenomenal. The brakes are just so good. It has a hydraulic booster for the brakes, not a vacuum. Now, one of the most fascinating things about this car is 1979 with the gas crisis, and a vehicle manufacturer decides to design and build one of the technically largest cars in the world. Just went against all logic to try and reduce, but I guess that's a bit of a rebellious side that I love about the Americans, considering that General Motors and Chrysler downsized in 1976, but Lincoln was just bold enough to punch on through and stick with technically a 10-year-old body style. And I think that, as I just said, it's pretty bold for 79 to have a car of these dimensions. Tell you what though, incredible to drive. Whenever you've got weight on your side in a vehicle, well, of course you'll always get that nice ride. And I think typically right across the big three of the big full-size cars that were made in the United States of America, you're technically never going to get a bad ride. But that's what these vehicles were designed for. Designed for the wealthy person to be comfortable. I guess it's also the tail end of the days too, where people wore their motor cars, you know, like you were judged by the car that you drove. It was your status symbol. Where now, you know, your next door neighbours can get a brand new car and no one kind of looks twice. It's just different times, isn't it? Interesting thing with American vehicles. Take the Duesenberg, for example. Most of those were built in 1928. They sold them through the 30s, but through the Depression, they weren't really building them through the 30s. So made in 28 and just, you know, took that long just to sell them off. But a Duesenberg, for example, an incredible luxury car from the United States of America back in that time. And they were capable of incredible speeds. Even today, you can do 75, 80 miles an hour down the freeway in a 30s Duesenberg. So the Americans have always had this DNA, I guess, this gene ability to make big full-size cars, keep you comfortable on the freeway, and allow you to motor along at a decent speed as well. Well, there is just some of my 1979 Lincoln Continental Town Car. And I hope that this episode has inspired you, whether you're ready to buy yourself a classic, to add to your current collection, or just enjoy what you already have. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch. Thanks for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up for the Shannons Club, Kenworth Trucks Australia, Pace Farm Eggs, and Holden Certified Service AC Delco Parts.